Magnifico, pronouns are he, him, is calling from Wisconsin and has a question, I guess, specifically for me. So go ahead, Magnifico, you're on the line.
All right, can you hear me?
Yes.
Sorry, am I supposed to? You can hear me? Okay, good. So I was just wondering, like, what is your standard for evidence? Like, what would you consider evidence with regards to a divine claim?
I have no idea.
Okay, so I guess the problem I maybe have is it feels like atheists apply a standard for evidence to divine claims that they wouldn't apply to other claims.
Well, not all claims are equal. If you say you have a pet dog, you just got a new puppy last night. Sorry,
Very
what?
plausible. We actually do have puppies, for what it's worth.
Yeah. So if you said we just got a new puppy last night, I already have a mountain of strong evidence that puppies exist, that people get them as pets, etc. If you said that you hatched out an invisible flying dragon last night, I would need more than your word, because that is inconsistent with the evidence that I already have about reality. For claims of the divine, it would be monumentally arrogant of me to presume that I already know what evidence would delineate between a true claim about the divine and a false claim about the divine. I don't know how to do that. But the people who believe that they have sussed out the divine, they absolutely think they can do that. So they need to explain to me what convinced them and why they think that should convince me. And then I will either agree or say, no, here's why that shouldn't convince me. And so my answer to the question of what evidence would I want for a God is, I don't know. But if there's a God, the normative definitions of the gods of classical theism, and most of what we're talking about 90% of the time, that God should know exactly what would and should convince me, and that God should be capable of providing it. And the fact that this hasn't happened means that either that God does not exist, or that God doesn't want me to know that it exists yet. And either way, it's not my problem, it's God's problem.
So there's an element of seeking involved in Christianity, though. Are you actually saying you're seeking out that thing?
I've been seeking.
Again,
so I used to be a Christian, and I have continued to seek answers and questions. I'm an obsessive learner, and I've continued to seek my entire life. That's one of the reasons why I'm here, offering you the chance and others a chance to show me what I don't know and why.
Okay, so to maybe describe my own situation, like, my belief in God is largely based on indirect evidence. Is that a solid methodology in your situation? Like, I will fully admit, I have never seen God in the flesh. I've never seen an all-powerful deity. The reasons I believe in God are indirect. Is that sound methodology in your case?
I don't know, because I don't know what you mean by indirect evidence. There are claims. Wow. I'm getting ready to release a video, probably in the next month, on the specifics about what should qualify as evidence for a proposition rather than facts consistent with a proposition, because those are two different things. But when you say you believe on indirect evidence, we believe lots of things on indirect evidence. That's not a problem. The issue is the evidence accurate, and is it sufficient to warrant accepting that a God exists?
All right, so spiritual positions are less plausible in your mind.
I don't even know what spiritual means, or how anybody can demonstrate that anything spiritual exists.
Okay, it's more of a goodness. I don't even know how to describe it. But like, the thing is, like I said, I think that it feels atheists often demonstrate, like, they practice skepticism.
Can we not do that? Can we not have you speculate about other atheists? Can we just talk with the three of us about what we think and why? I'm not here to defend any other atheist, and if Promise and I disagree, we're both here and we can address it. But I just pointed out that I don't know what spiritual means. It is a word that is used in so many different ways by so many different people. And if the normative kind of usage that it ties to something related to a soul or divine or whatever else, nobody's ever been able to demonstrate to me how they know that any such thing exists or even possibly exists.
So so your kind of idea here would be to deny the existence of a thing unless it can be demonstrated.
Well, I'm not denying the existence of a thing. I'm denying that there's reason to believe that the thing exists. Atheism is not there is no God. It is I'm not convinced there's a God.
I think that's your idea of atheism. I don't know if that's the...
Which one of us is an atheist that's been doing this for 20 years?
That would also be mine.
It would also be yours. Okay. I feel like that has also been kind of a recent development, maybe.
It's like not. We don't need to talk about your speculations about all these other atheists. We're literally right here telling you what our view is, and you're going to want to try to say, well, that's not atheism. Okay, I don't give a fuck. Whatever somebody calls it, I am not convinced that a God is real. Can we focus on that rather than the pedantic bullshit semantics of you saying that's not what atheism means? I might as well say you're not a true Christian or whatever religion you are, and it means nothing more. Can we just talk about whether or not there's a good reason to believe in a God? Because you seem to think there is, and I don't agree. And isn't that enough to have a conversation without trying to saddle us with being able to demonstrate that there is no God when you haven't even presented a God claim that is falsifiable or testable?
Okay. For the record, I did say that I believe that is what you think. I believe that is your version of atheism. Okay, so let's start with maybe...
So can I ask you, what would you call me? So I am somebody who does not believe that any gods exist. So what would you call me?
I would call you a kind of orthodox atheist, a kind of a more traditional idea.
Are you guys that like stuck in your religion that you cannot talk to people like normal? I'm just somebody who doesn't believe in a God. We happen to use the word atheist to describe that. You can call me anything you want. If you have to call me orthodox atheist, that's just really silly, because the bottom line is we don't believe in a God and you do. Now, what's a good reason and why should we believe in a God?
Is that Matt's position? Because I would have gotten the idea that he wouldn't say that he doesn't believe in a God.
I'm sorry. I'm going to mute you, and I'm going to go on a little quick lecture here. Promise was talking to you. Whether or not Promise and I agree is irrelevant. Why won't you answer Promise based on what she actually said instead of forcing me to white knight? Are you afraid of women? Are you unable to have conversations with independent, strong women?
I think so, yeah.
Cool. Then fucking do it.
Yeah.
Then fucking do it.
Sure. All right. So what was the question?
You don't even remember the question? How rude. Why do we have to do all the work?
Again, please, madam, what was the question?
Sorry, I'm muted. So the answer, or the question that I had for you, based off of knowing that neither Matt nor I believe in any gods, what is your reason for why we should believe?
As I said, my beliefs in God are indirect. I don't know if I could transfer them to you. I think a lot of beliefs in God are predicated on personal experience.
Do you think personal experience is a good reason to believe something? Because personal experience is what led me to stop believing.
Sometimes, yeah.
Sometimes, how would we determine whether it's a good time to believe or not believe something based off of personal experience?
I think you would have stopped believing because of lack of personal experience, right? Like you would have lacked any type of spiritual experience, and that would have aided
I thought I had hundreds of spiritual experiences. I stopped believing because of lack of evidence for the existence of any God or anything supernatural. I had thought the things were. I had credited a God for things that could be explained or couldn't be explained, but I had no reason to believe it was a God. So You can cite lack of
You had,
evidence as my reason for not believing. Same reason I don't believe in any other gods or any other supernatural claims. Same reason I don't believe in ghosts. Same reason I don't believe in any of that. But I'm asking, what's a good reason for me to start believing again? And if your only reason is, well, I had a personal experience, cool, thanks for letting us know. I can't do anything with that. I don't have whatever this is that convinced you. And it sounds like I would have a higher standard than you would, because dreams or like an emotional feeling or seeing something I can't explain, those are not good reasons for me to believe something as intense as an entire religion.
okay. So I think there are other reasons I believe it. That's some of it, though. A good part of it, actually. A lot of it has to do with some study I've done into the Bible itself, some historical stuff as well.
I'm sorry.
I think it's.
I'm sorry. She didn't ask, why do you believe? She asked, why should we believe? What can you present for reasons we should believe?
Why should you believe it? I don't even know if there's a verse in the Bible that actually explains this. No man cometh unto the Father except he's drawn of the Holy
I've
Spirit.
already read it. I've read the Bible many times over. I was in ministry school studying the Bible when I left. So the Bible doesn't mean anything to me. I need a reason, not a claim. So why should I even care what the Bible says?
The way you
prove
come
to me
to
that
God.
God exists.
But you're already starting. You're pointing to the Bible. You're going to John 14 and saying, "Here's what the Bible has to say." Why should we care what the Bible has to say? That's what Promise is asking.
Okay, so we're talking about is me proving that God exists.
No, we're asking. We've asked you, what reason can you present why we should agree with you about a God?
And if you don't have one, that's fine. You can say that. If all that you have is something personal to you that you can't convince others with, then own that. I would appreciate the honesty. But if you have convincing reasons for us to change our minds about the existence of a God, that's what we're asking for over and over again.
I might have to think about that. I'll maybe try to call back in now.
Do that. And you're welcome to call back. I'll be on Chewed Gum on Tuesday next week, and I would love to take this call. I'll prioritize the call next week.
Thank you. Because I was seriously convinced this was going to be an absolute travesty of a call when we just kept talking past each other and you got focused on definitions. If now you understand, hey, we're looking for a reason why we should believe, and you're willing to go off and think about that and call back, God bless you.
All right. Yeah.
Thanks so much for calling, and thanks for answering honestly.
Yeah, it's really, this is easy. And I get the confusion. I genuinely do. When somebody's like, well, what evidence would you accept? Why do I have to go out and think of this? Here's the thing. Stop focusing on me or other atheists or atheism. I know that we created an inbox show because you guys look at that. It's like, oh, I got to defeat Matt. I got to defeat Promise. I got to defeat this atheist or this group of atheists or the new atheists or whatever. No. All you have to do is say, I'm convinced that a God exists, and my reasons are X, Y, and Z. And then we can evaluate them and say, if you said, I believe because John 14 says this, our follow-up question, which both of us have asked multiple times, why do we care what the Bible has to say? Because the flawed premise there is that you begin by assuming that the Bible has correct information about how to find God. That is an assumption you don't get to make. You don't get to assume that it has correct information. You have to show that it is correct information. And the passage in John actually doesn't say anything specific. John 14, 6 and 7, Jesus saying, I'm the way, the truth, and the life. No man cometh to the Father but by me. That says nothing at all about the method by which one can justify belief in a God. That is a statement. That is a statement about Jesus being the path by which humanity connects to God. This is about Jesus's divinity. It is not about epistemology. The Bible isn't offering a valid and sound argument or any way at all to consider a valid and sound argument. It is merely Jesus saying, I am the conduit to God. And now the question becomes, is that statement true? Is Jesus the conduit to God? When Jesus says, if you'd known me, you should have seen my Father also, and from henceforth you would know him and you've seen him. It is saying, I am an in-person, physical presentation of God, which, by the way, is why he was killed in part. And I know what the Bible says, and so does promise, and we used to believe it. The difference is when we faced these questions of why should we believe that, Promise and I failed. We failed to find an answer or reason to continue believing the thing that we both held dear. I didn't get mad at God. I didn't get mad at a church. I didn't ask for a pony and not get a pony. I didn't have someone die and get mad and curse God. I had a roommate who was an atheist, and I wanted to convince him that I was right because I didn't want to get to heaven and have God say, why is this guy you love like a brother burning in hell? You had a job to do. You had an obligation under 1 Peter 3:15. You had an obligation under the Gospels to go ye therefore unto all the world. You had an obligation to not be ashamed of the gospel of Jesus Christ, for it's the power unto salvation. All of these, I'm an atheist because I took this shit seriously. I'm an atheist because I used to think when I was a Christian that I was right and had good reasons, and I found out that all of my reasons were bad, but I didn't give up then. I didn't say, oh, therefore Christianity is false. No. I went to all of the other people who thought that their reasons were good, and I began evaluating those. The primary apologists, the various people who are offering their reasons why Jesus is God or God is real. I listened to what they said and I evaluated it. You know what I found? I found that they, like me, didn't have a good enough understanding of logical fallacies. They, like me, didn't have a good enough understanding of epistemology, the process that we use to make sure that our beliefs are more likely true than not true. Why is it, if there's a God, as so many hundreds of millions, billions of people are convinced there's a God. And they want to look at those of us who don't believe and be like, wow, that's pretty brave. Well, maybe it's brave, maybe it's not. Maybe we're bucking the normative trend. All these people believe, and yet none of them can present a valid and sound argument supported by good epistemology and good evidence to demonstrate the truth of what they believe. Doesn't mean their belief's false, but it does mean they don't have a good reason to believe it. And this is why, as an atheist, I am not convinced that a God exists. And in some cases, for some gods, I am convinced that they do not exist. If you define your God in such a way that it is logically contradictory to the actual facts, if it is impossible in your argument for your God and this pen to exist simultaneously, then this pen is an absolute confirmation that your God does not exist. And the same is true if you go down a line of a problem of evil that addresses a particular type of God. I like the fact that somebody's going to go off and think and come back with something better. Maybe we'll get more better tonight.
Hey, what's up? I'm glad you enjoyed that clip of people talking to each other. I'm Jimmy, and this is Eric. And well, we'd really love it if you would support us. Where can they support us, Eric? Where would they do that?
I don't know, Jimmy, because I don't have the notes on me right now.
This is too long.
Like
the outros have to be short. Patreon.com/call the line.